In the time it takes you to blink your eyes, a city can be erased. The apocalyptic cascade of a nuclear detonation doesn't take minutes or hours. The physics of total destruction unfold entirely within a single second. Conventional explosives rely on chemical reactions, rapidly burning fuel to create pressure. Nuclear weapons derive their power from Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared, where physical mass is converted directly into a massive release of thermal and radiant energy. This is fission. Heavy uranium atoms split, triggering others in a rapid chain reaction. Hydrogen bombs achieve higher yields through fusion. Light elements fuse under extreme pressure, creating a massive energy wave that allows weapons like the Tsar Bomba to dwarf early atomic models. Imagine a landscape at midday. Cars moving on roads, wind brushing through trees. Time is flowing exactly as we expect it to. Then the detonation occurs. The clock stops at exactly 0 seconds. To comprehend the scale of what follows, we must slow our perception down from human seconds into microscopic fractions of the atomic clock. Understanding a nuclear blast requires us to leave the world we know, entering the subatomic realm. Between 0 and 1 single microsecond, the chain reaction completes. In this nearly immeasurable window, a microscopic fraction of the weapon's core is erased as matter and translated into energy. Before the casing can even melt, the internal temperature spikes to tens of millions of degrees. The weapon is still visually intact, but inside it is already a captive star. Between 1 microsecond and 1 millisecond, that energy breaches containment. It erupts outward, releasing a silent, invisible flash of lethal gamma rays and neutron radiation that penetrates surrounding materials before any physical heat or shock arrives. As this radiation hits the surrounding atmosphere, it superheats the air molecules, stripping away their electrons. This rapidly expanding sphere of ionized plasma creates the blinding visual of the fireball. This fireball is hotter than anything found in nature on Earth. At the 1 millisecond mark, the plasma inside reaches temperatures 4 to 5 times hotter than the core of the sun. Within 1 single millisecond, human engineering has fabricated the lethal conditions of a star on the surface of the planet. The newborn fireball now begins to interact violently with the surrounding atmosphere. Because the thermal sphere expands so rapidly, surrounding air molecules cannot move away. Instead, they compress, forming a dense gathering ring. This ring snaps into a sharp boundary, a solid wall of kinetic energy propagating outward, the nuclear shockwave. The primary mechanism of physical destruction here is kinetic. This wall of solid air pressure strikes with the mass of the atmosphere, crushing infrastructure before the fires can even ignite. Even the strongest natural disasters pale in comparison. This kinetic wall creates a sudden, crushing blow, followed by winds moving at supersonic speeds. Between exactly 10 and 100 milliseconds, the fireball expands from the size of a building to a massive geographical footprint. Within the immediate vicinity of ground zero, the thermal radiation is absolute. The heat is so intense that biological matter and light materials are instantly vaporized, leaving only shadows burned into stone. As the radius increases, human skin suffers third-degree burns miles away, while the trailing shockwave strikes moments later, snapping steel structures and shattering concrete. The historical record at Hiroshima clearly shows the ultimate result of this devastating sequence. The devastating combination of the thermal pulse and the blast wave resulted in the total flattening of the city landscape. The abstract physics of the microsecond translate directly into the systematic and absolute dismantling of everything within the weapon's reach. Between 100 milliseconds and 1 full second, the kinetic shockwave finishes its sweep, crushing the last remaining structures in the distance. Simultaneously, an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, sweeps out far beyond the shockwave. This invisible magnetic surge destroys power grids and communication networks across the region. Back at the center, the fireball begins to rise. As the superheated air ascends, it creates a powerful vacuum, dragging thousands of tons of ash and debris upward. This rising debris column forms the iconic mushroom cloud. The dust is heavily seeded with radioactive isotopes, preparing to fall as lethal fallout. The clock hits exactly 1.000000. Real time resumes. The roar of the explosion finally reaches the horizon, echoing across a landscape physically reordered by the weaponization of atomic particles. The terrifying reality is that almost everything described happened within just 1 second.